I think I remember this author. Dr. Everett Man. Yeah. I remember this author. Yeah, we read a whole. They were writing a whole bunch in series. Well, not a whole bunch, but a couple in series 1 and 2. We read most of his works, to be honest. There's only like a couple, like maybe 1 or 2 more in the future. Yeah, it looks like there's only gonna be 2 more of his. But the last one we read of his was 2158, which 2158. It's a revolver that has 1 bullet. No, it's not with 1 bullet. It's a revolver that is locked on 1 target. Like it can shoot the target, but for some but it sucks at doing so. Okay, Dr. Everett Man, you wrote the great. Nope, you did not write the great script. That's the one we just read, which is also, by the way, hilarious title if you think about them trying to actually escape and they couldn't. Those poor balloons. But they wrote Survival of the Foetest. Okay. Last one, and it's nice and short too. Thank you so much. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures SCP-2259 is to be kept maintained with charcoal filters and fluorescent lights replaced as necessary. Tank will be cleaned carefully to avoid damage to specimens inside. Tri-Daily fish food will be sprinkled onto the surface of the water. No specimens can be brought to term without permission from site director and the ethics committee. SCP-2259 is a 1,000-liter glass fish tank measuring 280 centimeters times 280 times 65 times 55 centimeters. It is lined with a gravel substrate with under tank filters. Fluorescent lights are set into a plastic hood fitted to the top of the tank. There are several plastic plants and a novelty skull bobble that opens its mouth at regular intervals. When properly maintained with salt water, SCP-2259 is capable of spontaneously generating human embryos, henceforth referred to as genesis events. In a genesis event, 150 to 200 zygotes are produced. This will immediately begin dividing following normal human development until the day 7. Instead of implanting onto a placental wall, blastocysts will be free swimming. Each forms an opening in the trophoblast, which allows it to consume food flakes placed in the tank. At this stage, cannibalism will begin to occur. At irregular intervals, a blastocyst will approach another and begin stripping off surface cells until it has killed off the target blastocyst. Other blastocysts will approach and also begin to feed. If sufficient food is provided, approximately 15% of the blastocysts will be consumed in the first 4 weeks, increasing if insufficient food is provided. They will spend most of their time hiding among the plastic plants. If no food is provided, the blastocysts will consume each other until only one is left, which will then starve to death. Aside from the feeding opening, development will proceed normally. At 4 weeks, limp buds will allow the embryo to swim more freely, and the feeding opening will begin to close as the mouth forms. At this point, the embryos will become much more active and spend more time in the open parts of the tank. Cannibalism will occur at a slightly lower rate, with a further 10% being culled by 8 weeks. 8 weeks, the embryos will be fully recognizable as fetuses, with lengths ranging from 2.5 to 4 centimeters in length. Arms and legs will be clearly visible, with nose and jaws rapidly reducted. The feeding opening, now unnecessary, will be completely closed. Most of those that survive beyond this point will have varying rates of genetic chimerism due to incomplete ingestion of other blastocysts. At this point, they will become much more territorial and aggressive. This is a period of greatest cannibalism as the fetuses actively hunt for each other using reducted. 90% attrition rates can be expected by week 20. This is Man, can you imagine having a fish tank and you just see like a bunch of fetuses and embryos just eating each other? At this point, fetuses will begin to respond to auditory stimuli. Tapping on the side of the tank causes great agitation at this stage. Lanugo and vernix will begin to form on the fetal skin, providing some protection. Amniotic sacs will form but will be quickly torn at the limbs and mouths during feeding, leaving those parts free. By the end of 24 weeks, the fetuses will be clearly recognizable as human, with the exception of redacted. Fat will begin to form on them. This is particularly recognizable on those most successful in predation. Any outside animals were introduced to the water at this stage will be targeted by the fetuses. In one experiment, a 1.5 kilogram rabbit was skeletonized over the course of 5 minutes after being dropped into the tank. God damn. The rabbit was in the tank for 5 minutes too. That poor rabbit. The final wave of predation will occur as the tank becomes crowded due to the growth of the fetuses. By week 30, there will be no more than 3 fetuses surviving as the weakest and smallest are torn apart by the others. One surviving at this point is typical. The mouth and nose will reform until typical for fetus of this age. At some point from week 34 to week 40, the remaining fetuses or fetuses will reach the water and begin to give an auditory cry. If they're not removed at this stage, they will fall back into the water and drown. Okay. Once removed from the water, the fetus is considered born and will be referred to as an instance of -2. Instances of -2 are identical to normal human infants in nearly all respects. A scar from the closing of the feeding opening is in the same location as the human navel and almost identical. X-rays of the jaws show some minor signs of redacted, but are indistinguishable without close examination. The infant can be cleaned and caul removed. 3 weeks after the last fetus has died or been removed from the tank, a new genesis event will occur. SCP-2259 was recovered from a London apartment after the tenant, one Jeremy Watson, came to the Foundation attention under the suspicion of successful application of alchemy. During the raid, the suspect destroyed much of an old book. At this point, a number of arms emerged from a cupboard and dragged the suspect from Foundation custody before vanishing. It is believed the book was from the Wanderer's Library. I was rejected. It was part of the Serpent's Hand. And now Watson is currently held prisoner for damage to a library book. The book was titled Homunculi. There we go. I was about to say Homunculus. And Genesis, written by a 17th century English alchemist named Rafe Hodgson. Was concerned with the creation of life, and surviving pages discuss the spontaneous generation of maggots from rotted meat and mice from soiled cloth and wheat. Unfortunately, the process was in a portion of the book destroyed by Watson. Surviving notes from Watson discuss feeding cycles and the expected stages of development. The notes suggest that Watson had produced several generations of -2 prior to the raid. It is currently unknown what happened to these specimens. MTF number 4, MTF number 4, Golden Standard, has been alerted that this book may be in the hands of other alchemical researchers. MTF IOTA 17, Naval Gazers are watching for spikes in the incidence of genetic chimerism, as well as any children showing unusual naval scars or mandible developments. Then Addendum 23, as of the 5th, 23rd, 2014, only 2 instances of -2 have been allowed to come to term. One is an Asian female currently 6 years old. The second is a Caucasian male currently 4 years old. Both are being monitored but have shown no anomalous properties. They are unaware of their origin and have been rendered sterile as a security measure. Addendum 35. New substrate must be thoroughly cleaned and sterilized before being added to the tank. A specimen of Eunice Aphroditois was discovered in the tank and could not be contained and removed for over 6 months, greatly disrupting the genesis cycle. Well, it's almost like a test tube baby, except it's a fish tank baby. Instead of a test tube baby, you got fish tank, baby. Kind of messed up that they cannibalize the potential brothers and sisters. I wonder, even though there are no ill effects to the child now, I wonder if something more might be different. I'm already done, my man. I'm done. We finished right as you said that. Yeah, I can imagine. I was like, when you said that, I was very concerned. I was like, that is quite a lot to go through. That's quite a lot to go through. But I'm glad you're back for the finish line.